Hey everybody, welcome to the In All Things podcast. It's time to see God in everything.
All right, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the In All Things podcast.
Morning.
Morning. Obviously, for those that are watching, they see a different crew again. So last week was just me and Kristi, and then this week bringing in Josiah, and then
you had me back.
Yeah,
young boy.
and decided, we'll
young
see.
blood.
Who knows? This may be your last go around.
Maybe,
It
yeah,
depends
we'll
on
see.
how. We'll give you another shot. We talked about it afterwards, and maybe one more chance.
One more.
And then this coming Sunday is our onstage live podcast with everybody except for Josiah, because you're going to be already up there singing, and so. And then I believe the week after that, we'll do a few more like our regular format, and then the season will be coming to an end. So thanks, everybody, for bearing with all the changes and the special guests and all that.
I think sometimes it's exciting, though.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear the same people every week. You just don't.
And I've been on here way too much. People are like, get this guy off. Like, I think I've been on every week but one.
I did see that in
So-
the comments. Like, get him off.
Yeah, get that guy off of there. Oh my gosh, that hoodie guy is like, all he wants to do is talk
Where's
about
this rock star?
Yeah, I don't have an energy drink with me today because I already drank it.
Oh.
So yeah, it's felt like an early morning. But anyway, so yesterday we wrapped up our Dinner with Jesus series, and we had communion together as a church, and it was a great day at Sycamore Creek. What'd you guys feel? What'd you guys think? Did you notice anything? Talk to anybody exciting? Those kind of things.
Kristi,
You talked to me. I was excited.
I did talk to you. Yes, you got your hair done, and it looks great.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
See,
Thank
I
you.
said something about that this morning because I just noticed the color
Yeah.
this morning for the first time. So
It's a little fall.
It's very autumny. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll go
exactly.
away.
Yeah,
It's
for
hair.
sure.
you wash it a few times, color will start to come out a little bit.
It'll have to grow. But
Have to grow.
it grows fast. But yeah, yesterday was great. Did you like how I added in the don't forget to throw your communion cups away?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's
Yes.
inevitably still communion trash everywhere.
Yes,
But that's
but
part of being
I
a church.
love doing communion. I love that we don't do it every week, so it's not something that's routine. I like that we take our time, and at least for me, I really think about what I'm doing and what I like that we do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the format that we did it at the end of the message. So you're already in like a very contemplative headspace, and then the way that Steve tied it into the message, I thought was great.
Yeah.
Worship, I thought, was really good yesterday. There was awesome energy in the room in both services. It's always awesome when you can tell like people showed up to sing and people showed up to worship. It's you don't feel like you're trying to corral a bunch of headspaces into one focus. People kind of showed up primed yesterday. It felt like, at least from the stage.
And attendance was a little down, right, Kristi? Like,
It was a little down. It's still 538, I think.
Sure.
yeah, but like even on days like that where we feel like the numbers are down and you still have a great response, that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
so we love
for
that.
sure.
I always tell people, like, man, we'd rather have 30 people fully engaged than a room of 400 or 500 with nobody engaged.
Yeah,
So
100%.
because it just lets you know you're doing the right thing and people are there for the right reasons.
100%.
It was kind of nice out yesterday. We went hiking
It was
afterwards.
nice.
Yeah, I saw that. Where'd y'all go?
We just went to Chestnut Ridge. It's
Gotcha.
fun, close.
The leaves are amazing right now.
Oh,
They are. They're a little slow there. I think because the trees are so tall and it works its way down, you have to look really high to see the pretty ones. But it was nice.
I remember going to school in Lynchburg at Liberty in the mountains there. It's just like, it's insane every fall. Like the colors were just, and I had never seen anything like that. But around here, like right now, this time of year, it's pretty
super
crazy.
great. Yeah, we went to Hopkins Hills this past weekend.
You went where?
Isn't it Hocking Hills?
You say hopping?
Hopkins Hills? I don't know.
See, I was just going to let that go.
I just moved
Jared,
here. I don't know
call you
where I
out.
am.
No.
I went to the place. Kristi told me to go there, and it was great. But the leaves were crazy, and it was like you couldn't stop just staring at the hills and all the colors. It was great. And then this morning was like the first proper frost, and driving in through kind of like the Pataskil Etna area. It was great. You just saw like fields covered in white frost. It was cool.
And then tomorrow is like
75.
75
Yeah.
degrees.
Yeah.
Like the temperature swings that we've had the past couple weeks have been crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm already over that. Like, gosh, give me cold or give me warm. Like, cause this is the time of year where you have like 6 hoodies in your car and like 4 jackets.
You put one on in the morning, and then by the time it's noon, you're like, I'm sweating.
Yeah.
Like, also had a very sad thing happen this weekend. I had to put Fiona's hard top on.
Oh yeah.
So I had to transition my Jeep from soft top, take it off at the end of the day to hard top. So it was sad, although it's nice to open the back for groceries.
Sure. Yeah, you have that hatch now.
Yeah.
So, but so now, like, how is it hard to keep the temperature in the Jeep, like with the soft top on it? Like if you have AC or heat, it's
the same.
Okay.
It just works.
Yeah, it's just a little noisier with the soft top.
I figured that like it would have a hard time regulating temperature in there.
Not really.
I guess if it was like really cold out, you probably would feel it a little more in the soft top.
Yeah, I just haven't done that.
But why would you not just put on the hard top then, right? Yeah.
Right. It's a little bit of a job, but Terry did it also.
Sure.
Yeah. So what's coming up
for
you guys in life? Like, obviously, Kristi, you just got done with like one of the most insane periods, like few months of your entire life, and now you have a short little break.
Yes.
Before we ramp up,
breathing and relaxing.
Yeah. And you had teased it yesterday on stage, what's coming up for the church as far as outreach goes.
Yeah.
But most people know. So if you want to.
Yeah. So coming out of Brock's birthday, we talked on the podcast last week that it was coming up. And so we spent a day doing 11 random acts of kindness. We spent $52,000.
Jeez.
It was amazing.
That's
we
awesome.
I have a video I'm about to post that's pretty good. But a couple things that were my 2 favorite things, just to narrow it down, was one thing we went to a low-income housing development, and we put groceries on the front porch and just walked away. We didn't knock on the door or anything. But Tucker had gone up, and someone heard him, and they came out. And so we got to talk to a little boy named Charlie that was 6. And Charlie was so cute and spoke like he was 30. And so Tucker's like, I like your shirt. And he's like, well, I only got 2, so I got an outfit repeat all the time. And just so fun. He was telling us the things he could and couldn't eat in the grocery bag because some of it, he was lactose intolerant and didn't go well for him. And just so funny. And his dad was standing there like, what church are you with? And I'm like, well, we're not. And I explained it to him. And the 6-year-old like, I'm sorry for your loss. So we decided to go out, and of course we bought him clothes.
Nice.
And his dad, and brought him back all like $500 worth of stuff and gave it to him, and he was super excited. And so that was fun. Another fun thing was we went to Meijer, and we mystery shop for people. So if you walked in, one of my people had like a red vest on, like they worked at Meijer, and said, we're doing a survey from Meijer and the best gifts. So if you could have anything in Meijer, what would you want? And so we gave out 7 TVs, like 3 iPads, an air fryer, an espresso machine, $5,000 worth of stuff.
That's awesome.
But one of my favorites was this girl came in, and like a lot of people will avoid you because they think, I avoid the people who are like, who's your internet provider?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So they avoid us, and I'm just like, oh, you're going to wish you would have talked to us, but they don't know. And so this lady walked in fast, and I'm like, oh, they're not going to get her. And she stopped, and they're like, what would you want? And she goes, I just found out I'm pregnant 5 minutes ago, so I guess I would want something for the baby. And so she goes on, like, no idea what's going on. Like, our people are just like, okay, and they write it down. Then our people text someone on their team saying, this is what you want. And then there's someone else who follows that person around so we don't lose them. We go up and buy it, put a gift receipt on it, put a bow on it. We go find that person and give it to her. So we give her the stroller, and she is just bawling. She's crying so hard.
That's so awesome.
She works at a medical facility, so she had done the test there, the blood test, and knew it was positive, but had to stop just to get a pregnancy test so she could take it home and show her husband.
Wow.
She hadn't even told her husband yet. And so she was like, do me a favor and don't post any pictures till tomorrow so I can tell my husband. And then later that day, I got a message from one of my friends that's like, I heard the best story tonight. My niece came and told us all she was pregnant and proceeded to tell us how she went to Meijer and you guys got her a stroller. So those are my two favorite things in a whole day of, like, we talked about generosity, and it's last week, and that's just what this day was all about. It was awesome, the reactions on people's face. We had someone buy groceries, and they were just buying peanut butter and jelly and macaroni and cheese, and we paid for it, and she started crying, saying how she didn't have money to feed her kids. And one of my volunteers took her back through the store and shopped with her and ended up buying her like $300 worth of groceries.
That's what it's all about.
That's awesome.
It was amazing.
I love that.
Yeah, so now I can breathe. That's over.
Yeah.
It's been busy, but coming up here is our Christmas Angel program, and it is amazing. It's a lot of work, but our people here are so generous. Like, I can't remember how much last year.
Yeah, it was like, wasn't it like $40,000 worth of stuff?
It was crazy.
But it was like 100 and something kids.
It was
that we
over
did.
a little over 200. I wanted 250. They didn't have 250 to give me, so it was a little over 200. And people just go all out.
So tell Josiah. Josiah's never been here for that.
Yeah.
So like, explain what we do.
Oh, it's awesome. So we partner with Salvation Army.
Okay.
In Franklin County, and so each kid who's eligible, they come in, they're interviewed, their parents are interviewed, like they're legit people in need. And so there'll be like if I was one, there'd be a sheet for Kristi. And it says, this is my favorite color. This is like 3 things I would love to have. This is my size shoes. If I need a bed, it's on there. And if it's on there, it means they don't have a bed at all. So a bike, different things like that. I fill it all out. So here's my little Kristi Angel sheet. Then the church comes and you can kind of look through and find one that maybe hit you. Like when my kids were little, I let them pick out someone their own age so they could help me shop.
Sure.
And so you take those and you buy whatever you want on there. So there's no like you have to buy anything, but I always say if there's something like a bed or something on it, don't take it unless you can get a bed or go together with your small group or something. And so you buy it, you don't wrap it because they have to make sure we haven't shoved guns or drugs in it, and you bring it back here, and then they come and get it. This year we're delivering it, and it's an overwhelming amount. I mean, the entire office, the entire hallway of the office, that front room in the kids in the youth student center, that was full. It is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
awesome.
like it takes us an hour probably to get everything out into the truck when they come to pick it up. And that's with like probably 10 people helping, or more. And it's crazy because this is one of the things. I mean, most of the outreaches that we do, nobody really sees the outcome of it firsthand, and with this one is the same way, but people just seem to go above and beyond with it, which is crazy. And knowing that like they're never going to see the kids' faces when they open these presents, but they just have the heart for serving the kids in our community, which is super cool. I'm excited for it.
I am too. I like that. Like I tell them all the time, like if this is the only piece of paper for this child. So if you don't buy anything on there, this child doesn't get anything. And we track it, and we know like you took this angel, so we know that you're bringing it back because we don't want anyone to go without anything. And a very cool thing that happened last year is I had 15 angels left over.
Okay.
Never happened before. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? And so I know someone in our church who had said like, let me know if you need anything. So I called him and I'm like, hey, would you want to just sponsor maybe 1 or 2 of them? And he's like, I want to sponsor all of them. And I'm like, oh, it could be like $5,000.
Yeah, that's
and
a lot.
he's like, I want you to buy everything on every list. I'm giving you $15,000. So Terry and I went home. This is like 2 weeks before the deadline. We're on separate computers on Amazon buying everything on these kids' lists.
Yeah.
So that was like, oh, just amazing.
That's
I was
so
like,
awesome.
That made my whole year that happened. So
And
generosity is everywhere.
That's going to start ramping up when? And
so I usually get them like the second week in November. And then we start, because they're due like the second week of December.
Sure.
And this year, we're going to rent a truck, and we're going to have everyone help us load it on Sunday and take it to them because the pickup's always a little struggle.
Yeah, because they are never prepared for the overwhelming amount of stuff that we have.
They think it's going to be a little bit.
No matter how much I tell them leading up to it, like, I mean, I'm telling you, I have this many bikes.
They roll up with like a van, and you're like,
2
no,
people to
guys.
help us. Yeah.
We need like a semi.
So for everybody listening to this podcast, we've been talking about how much of an amazing job our church has done in the past. We're going to try to one-up it this year.
Because I have to do that. Like for me, I always want to do bigger, better. It's like a horrible thing in my personality. So I'm challenging y'all. Get ready.
And some of these kids, like, it's like, it's not like you have to do this overwhelming sacrifice for some of these kids. Like some of the lists are, you can fulfill it for like $100, right? But then some of them are obviously way more, like with game systems and stuff like that. Sure. But
last year I separated them. It was the first year I did that. I separated them into like kind of piles. Like this is if you want to spend about $100. This is if you want to spend like $200 to $350, and this is if you want to spend more. And like I said, a lot of small groups will go in and get the more expensive one and buy the gaming system, the iPad, everything on their list. So it's a great thing to do as a group. And we partner with Brock Strong on it, which makes it even better because then I have all the people that don't go to Sycamore that's still taking kids and bringing everything back. My house is crazy. There's a million deliveries. My poor husband makes a million trips here with his truck full of stuff, and I have Melody helps like sort it all, and because we check everything and the number has to be on everything. It's a big project, but it's the most amazing project we do here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that is, I know we do our outreaches of the month, but since that starts halfway through,
It's like month-ish.
right. I was gonna say this takes up kind of like the rest of the year of those, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, very cool.
And then there won't be anything until February. We don't do one in January.
Sometimes we do something in January, but something a little less like
Crazy.
Yeah.
Because we just went through Christmas.
And then like then the calendar flips over, and then like it's tax season, and everybody's like is financially strapped from Christmas, and so
but like nothing
lighter.
we have ever done has bombed. Like it's funny to me how different things just hit different people, which is why we do that, because like what pulls on your heartstrings may not pull on mine, which is fine. So I may not give one month, but then give the next month in the same way around. And like we usually can I bank on at least $5,000 a month coming in for that, which is a lot of money.
It's a lot.
And it's able, and we match it. Well, we don't match it, but the church does $1,000 automatically. So even if I brought in $200 the whole month,
it would be
the church
$1,200.
The church does $1,000 anyway. So it's just awesome. And I tell everyone all the time, like you may only have $10 or $20 to give, but you put that all together and it turns into $5,000.
Right.
So
that's what you guys were talking about last week with Brock Strong and the kid who did came up to you and was like, I raised money, but it's only whatever. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm excited for it. Should be fun.
It's funny because our church is unique, I think, in some of the ways that we're overall so generous. Like I think a lot of churches do drives or like food drives or diaper drives, but it's usually maybe like do one or two things a year,
right?
And then the rest of everybody's money, we're like, just give it to the general missions fund, and we'll take care of it. But we let people be so hands on, which is fun for people, I think, to get involved, get your family, get your kids involved. Take your kids out to Dollar Tree and help them spend money on this or that, or take your kids to Kroger and have them pick out some canned goods for the Pickerington food drive. So those kind of things are cool. So you let people get their hands on things, and that's without them being able to see the end result of it, which I think for a lot of people that's the more rewarding side of it, is being able to see the smiling faces and the happy kids on Christmas Day. But
and we're always looking for new things too. Like I try to come up with some, every year we have a calendar that I set beginning of the year, and it's flexible. So like, we've had some tragedies come up that we're like, okay, we're going to bump this and do that because that's what matters right now. But if something that we could do, that's something that could be a part of our outreach this month, let me know. Kate Johnson at sycamorecreek.org. Before I took over outreach, I don't know, 15 years ago, it was just kind of outreach, and no one really gave to it, and no one really knew anything. We'd ask people just to give to outreach, and people didn't really do it. And so that's when I came in. So let's just start focusing on one thing a month. And it's done great. I don't know if it always will, but so far, so
for 15
good.
years is a good track record.
Yeah.
It's going to continue on.
Well, I really like it. It's super unique for me coming from other churches and with my background as like a missionary kid. Like you were saying, so many churches are just like, this is the mission stuff, and it goes to missionaries overseas, and that's awesome. And obviously, like, my dad is the president of a missions organization, so like I have a heart for overseas missions. But what I like that we do at Sycamore is that it's all very tangible, for the most part, kind of in community stuff that you can be driving by and you're like, oh, there's the food pantry. Yeah, we gave to that last month, and that's awesome. And you can kind of see where your gifts are going to, whereas in the other formats, you're like, yeah, we're supporting so-and-so, and like you may not even know the names of the people that you're supporting or that your church is supporting, but you give because you believe in missions, and all that's really good. I just like it because it's very different here.
And it's also like just brings awareness to things. Like we live, we're in Pickerington, and it's not like a big poverty-stricken city, but we have food insecurities here, which is why we have a food pantry. And we just did human trafficking last month. And for me, before I really learned about it, I thought that's nothing that happens here, and that's people who like go to Polaris and steal little kids, and that's not what it is at all. And it's right here in our backyard, and it's people like you and me who just have some kind of weakness, and it's just crazy the things you learn when you see something like that. And so it's bringing awareness that even though we live in this kind of privileged little city, that there's still needs, there's still people struggling, and that we can do something to help.
Yeah, like how many how many beds, mattresses do you think we had last year? Like
so many. I know I personally bought, because you also have the option, I don't know if I didn't tell you this, Josiah, you also have the option to just give money. Okay. So if you don't have time to shop or you hate to shop or anything,
just give the money.
You give money and I take the money and I do all the angels I can do.
Sure.
So like I bought so many mattresses. I just bought one for my room makeover and it said, you have previously bought this 51 times.
Yeah.
So I was like,
that's
oh
so
my
crazy.
God.
Which is like, so we're talking about our own community right here in our county and surrounding counties.
Right.
But we're talking about, that's a lot of kids that put down on their form that they wish they had a mattress to sleep on. And we're like, and we just kind of glaze over and think everything's fine around us.
Right. Well, that's what blew my, when you were talking about it before and you guys were kind of laying out what this even is. Like so we do Christmas lists in my family. So that way we don't buy each other stuff that we, maybe you don't want or whatever. And sometimes Mallory will be like, don't put that down on your list. And I'm like, why? Like, I need it. Like stuff like a few years ago, I put down wool socks. And she was like, don't put down socks. And I was like, but I need like good socks. My socks have holes on them. She's like, but that's a need. Like, put down a want, put something cool down that you can get excited about. And the fact that these kids are like, nothing would be better than if I had a bed.
Yeah.
Like, that's so crazy to me.
And they do both. Like, so they'll have Xbox, and
sure,
I always
be an iPad
say this too. I'm like,
whatever.
because some people will be like, how dare they ask for that when they don't have any money?
Right.
And I tell everyone, like, of course they are, because they're a kid.
They're a
like
kid.
your kid
and
my
Christmas.
kid.
Yeah.
Of course they want those things.
Yeah, they go to school and everybody's talking about the latest game they play on Xbox, and they feel,
left out.
Yeah, left
and
out.
we're the only chance they have to get that. So if, just pass it by if that turned you off. But of course they want that. What do your kids ask for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but of course you're gonna have the spread, right? You're gonna have the kids who want beds and clothes, and then you've got kids who are like, can I get the new iPhone? And like that's cool too. Like that's fine. Your kids.
The funniest thing we ever had is, remember the olive oil?
Oh man, I was gonna bring that up. Like,
what?
Yeah.
The kid asked for olive oil. They like to bake or cook or something, so they wanted olive oil.
That's so random. I mean, hey, fair enough. That's an easy purchase.
There's been a few things like that over the years that some of the kids will write down and we'll be like, I have no idea what they're talking about on here. So then you just kind of get to go get them whatever.
I get calls all the time like, does this really mean? And I'm always like, you know what I know. Like I don't know these people personally.
Yeah. Which is cool. I think because the cool part about Christmas is for kids is there's that element of surprise, or I don't know what I'm getting, or I don't know what's in this package, I don't know what they got me. So there's some cool elements to that too. Is like you can go just like if you have a 7-year-old boy, right? You can go get 7-year-old boy things. Get the things on the list too. But it's like you can have some freedom there.
Yeah,
we actually have someone in our church who got gifts like that when they were young.
Oh wow!
So they their parents weren't in a position to give them things, and she asked me one time, like, I'll come up and share. So we let her share, and just hearing it from her, how even at a young age she was like, these people that don't even know me are doing this. And that's what we want people to know, like someone cares about you and loves you, even though you may never see our faces.
That's awesome.
All right, we've got a little bit left on our time today. I knew it was going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast.
Sure.
But I wanted to throw a topic in here too.
Cool.
And I know you guys might have some things that you might want to bring up. I don't know. When we were planning for today's podcast, it was kind of just going to be like, well, let's just have a conversation. But I wanted to bring up music with the three of us because I know for all three of us in particular, out of everybody in the office, no offense to everybody else in the office, but the three of us, I know music plays such a huge role in our lives. Like Kristi, you and Terry go to concerts all the time. Obviously your husband is like one of the most dedicated drummers in the world. He was in the OSU band. So music is such a central part to all three of our lives. And I don't think you could say that about Steve. I know Steve likes music and he likes to listen to music, but like there's a different level. And I'd say Mitch is up there as well.
Yeah, Mitch loves music.
Mitch likes
he loves music.
everything. He knows all the music, all the TV shows, all the books. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know how he has time.
Intake. Yeah, that's what but every time I walk into his office, he's got an AirPod in, so I'm like, you're either consuming a book or a music.
Yeah,
or
a podcast.
Or
he knows like all the latest TV shows, all the latest books.
Movies. It's crazy.
Like
I don't have that much room in my head.
He just multiplies time somehow. I don't know how he does it
either. I don't know how it works.
But so to dive into this just a little bit, maybe we talk about that personally, music in our lives, the way that it's transformed and shaped us, and then just kind of get into that. I think that we talk about the point of this podcast is to talk about how we find God in all things. I know for me and for Kristi, we like country music.
Sure.
And
all the cool people.
All the cool people.
And I don't like.
Yeah, man, I love country.
I don't like the poppy country stuff, but when I think about music, and not to get this podcast just on this let's stay on the super spiritual whim and on music,
Sure.
but there's something about music that we as humans get to experience that nothing else in creation does. I know that a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, plants will grow faster if you sing to them," or the birds. Yeah, the birds sing songs to each other. Yeah, but that's
annoying.
more of a
communication.
That's more of a rhythmic communication. But for us as humans, we get to feel this deep connection with music that brings up nostalgia at times, and songs connect us. Like I said, songs connect us to our past. Anytime you listen to a song, you're like, man, I remember listening to that my senior year of high school when we were doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I think that those that are shaped, are just music connoisseurs. That's what keeps us coming back. And we were working in the worship center, and I was playing some of my high school vibes
Classics.
from,
Yeah, dude.
and you were like, oh man, I had no idea you listened to this. I'm like, man, this is who I was in high school. But I don't know if we can just start it there, and just to look biblically, there's no shortage of music in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, music, the first instance of music is in Genesis, towards the end of the book, and so all the way through the end, all the way through Revelation, we see music. So it's something that sets us apart as humans, made in the image of God. That, like I said, no other created being or created thing has. So, how has music shaped you guys? As far as your daily life, like your day to day, your deeper meaning. How you find peace and with your relationship in the Lord through music. You guys want to touch on that? For anybody can take over.
Sure. Yeah, I'll start.
For you, it's obvious, Josiah, right?
Yes.
But I would challenge you to stay away from the worship leading segment for now.
Glad to.
Yeah.
I'll not talk about worship music.
Okay, go.
Music's always been a huge part of my life. My dad and my mom, they're both great musicians. I've served on worship teams with my mom. She's a killer vocalist. She's sung here.
Yep.
And so our house was always filled with music, and that means at 7 a.m. my dad would be blasting 80s music, TV, music videos on the TV, and that's what you would wake up to start your day. And every car ride was just nothing but nonstop Dad's iPod or Dad's CDs, or back in the day cassettes, and you just sit in the back and you sing along, and that's just what you did. And then when I was in middle school, I got an iPod Shuffle from my grandparents. The first one, the little stick guys.
Oh yeah,
you remember those guys?
Yeah.
They could hold 100.
It had no
songs.
screen or anything on it.
No screen at all. You had to remember where your songs were. It could hold 125 songs. I think it was 1 gigabyte.
And we were amazed.
That's so many
It was
songs.
amazing at the time.
It was awesome.
I
right?
can fit 4 whole albums on here.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I got that from my grandparents, my dad said, if you hear music that you want, write it down and I'll try and get it for you, which was awesome. And so, I'd listen to MTV back when MTV was music and stuff, and then try and find songs that I liked. And I got to kind of mishmash my own sense of what I liked from what my dad was showing me, what I was hearing from my friends, just finding on the radio or on TV, and kind of, create my own identity around that. And that's what I think music really has done throughout my life, both through God and kind of before, I was a Christian, was shape who I am. So many times in middle school and high school, like bands would form my identity. I'd get super obsessed with a certain album or a certain band or genre, and I'd be like, this is who I am now. And like now being a parent, you know, looking at my youth, like my parents were 100% right when they were like, he's just going through a phase. Yeah. It's like, this is my life. You don't know me. But yeah, it shaped who I was. All of my friends, all of our conversations revolved around, you know, this, you know, sound or these bands or these lyrics. And like every time we would go anywhere, we were at somebody's house, we were playing a game, there's always music in the background. And I can actually track eras of my youth based on the music that I was listening to. So, you know, like freshman year, I was really into the punk pop scene, Blink-182, Panic at the Disco, you know, all that stuff. And then sophomore year, I started hanging out with a bunch of metalheads. And so they got me into like hardcore metal. And I was just like brr, brr, the entire time. And I was hanging out with them and listening to metal. And then I was like, yeah, not my thing anymore. I stopped hanging out with them. And I started listening to like hippie music and hanging out with some, you know, wearing tie-dye and listening to like MGMT. You remember that band? And stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And so I can look back at photos and be like, I know exactly what I was listening to at that time. And that's how I was dressing. And that's what I was thinking. And these were all my kind of my personality traits.
I could see you dressing like a hippie.
Yeah, I do. Totally a little bit, the tie dye and all that good stuff. Especially now that I'm growing my hair out again. Yep. So yeah, it's been a major part of my life. But also on the flip side of that, because we do want to see God in all things. Like after I came to know Jesus, like God would use both worship music and just regular music to speak to me. So one of my first tattoos, I believe it was my third tattoo ever, is I have a bluebird on the top of my foot because I heard God's voice through music most clearly. And so I was able to relate things that I was reading in the Bible to my life, and music was kind of what he used as the bridge a lot of the times. And so I put on my foot because I want to walk wherever God tells me to go, and I hear his voice through music. And so it was incredibly important to me. I remember one of the quotes that sticks with me the most, I heard this years and years and years ago, C.S. Lewis said that music has a way of sneaking past the watchful dragons of your heart, of your mind, and going straight to the heart. And I love that because it obviously affects what I do on Sunday mornings and here at church, because we are trying to get people's hearts to submit and focus on God. But it affects me driving in the car, whether I'm listening to Christian music or music adjacent, you know, to that. And you're like, oh, that's actually a really deep thought. Like, how does that work into my worldview, my relationship with God, my parenting? How can I be a better husband, father? Like, I feel like I get a crazy amount of my education and life through listening to songs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a long monologue.
I can relate to all that. I think, Kristi, for you, like a lot of your opinion on this probably stems from your family, right? Like, because
growing up, we always, like, my whole family listened to music. And no, my sister and I were both in choir or whatever, but no one was necessarily musical. But I have always liked all kinds of music. And so I have a sister 9 years older than me and 4 years older. So I can pretty much hit from like the 70s all the way to current stuff and still like it. I just remember growing up, my sister and I, my dad loved like Tammy Wynette and George Jones, very old country people.
Sure.
And my sister and I, every time we had a family thing, we would get up and sing for everyone. Like we would sing the songs. Awesome. And stuff like that. So I've always liked music, all the things. In high school, I started dating Terry in high school, and Terry liked Poison and Rat and all those. And so then I liked them. I went to all of those concerts. Now, I had long hair.
Those are fun concerts.
I was like preppy with a bow in my hair, did not fit in with the crowd.
Sure.
But I did love it. Like that, those were great memories. And I like country a lot. But I love Michael Jackson. And I grew up like in the 80s, which was like the best music. Everyone knows 80s. You guys know 80s. Like
course.
Tucker knows 80s. So that was fun. But Tucker recently did a podcast at his church, and they were talking about like his influence in music because Tucker's a worship leader. And he said, I just remember my mom would always play Michael Jackson when we were eating breakfast. I'm like, oh gosh, everyone's going to think.
Dude, I grew up on Michael Jackson too.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
great.
we loved it. But just always like music. And for me, it like, it really speaks to me when I'm struggling or something. I have like some go-to, and most of them are worship songs. But I love like God Turn It Around is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Going through life with Brock, and especially like in the last week of his life, I would rub his head and sing God is Able every single day, multiple times a day. Like that was my song. And I knew God was able. I'm not really sure why he didn't, but that got me through that week. And there's a Cody Carnes song that's another one I listen to all the time. A song on Tucker's album like I listen to, but it just kind of grounds you when you feel like life's out of control, and you can kind of pull it together and get some perspective back in life. And I think nothing does that like more than music. And I am a good word person. Like if there were ever especially like 80s music, probably some 70s music, like finish the lyrics, I'd be a millionaire. And Terry is different. So Terry is has played drums his whole life, was in the High State Marching Band. He's very good, very disciplined, and you know, you never have to worry about him being prepared. But he doesn't hear words to anything. Like I'll listen to a song like, wasn't that great? And he's like, I didn't hear any words.
So crazy
I'm the same way.
Really? You don't listen? Oh, that's so funny.
I do not do, like, I'm the worst with song lyrics. But I can recognize a tune in a song from like 10 miles away. But I had no idea Terry was like that.
So we'll get to the end of the song, and I'll just be like, that was such a good song. And he's probably like, I play the drums, but I don't know what they said.
Like, that was a sweet guitar solo.
I like the build.
Especially like country music, I feel like is more storytelling than most music. And so it's just so good.
Some country songs, right? Most. You have the other ones that you're like, okay.
Yeah, but more than any other genre, I think.
Yes,
like some of the music I listened to in the 80s is so dumb. You're like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Or some of the things like that my sister was listening to when I was young, and I used to sing Afternoon Delight when I was little. I had no idea what it meant, and my mom never stopped me. And now I'm like, oh, I sang that?
My parents, they like to bring up that when I was 4, like one of my favorite songs was just, what is it? Spice Girls song.
I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Yeah.
They were like, you loved the Spice Girls. And I was like, I was 4, dude. I don't know what I was singing. They're like, you loved that, and you loved It's Raining Men. And I was like, okay.
That's cool, so funny.
I'm convinced that like Tucker had music in him from the time he was born, because he was born in Charlotte, but we moved here when he was about 3 and 4 months old. But he would cry in the car, and as soon as I put Faith Hill, this kiss, he'd stop. And I told my sister that. She was visiting, so he was 4 months or less. And she's like, he's too young and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh yeah? So we go somewhere. He starts screaming in the car. Turn it on. He's silent. And he is always, it's just been in him. Like he's taught himself how to play everything. Like when he was 5, I've pictured, he came up and sang on our stage one time at 5. They brought him up at Christmas to sing Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. So it's just always been a big part of him, and so I'm so happy with that in him, and that like he probably got most of his talents from Terry, I know. But
do you guys feel like for the most part music has seen in your lives, have seen, and you've already mentioned it specifically, but seen different seasons based on the people that you hang out with or associated with at the time? I remember you saying,
my metalhead friends.
Yeah. Do you feel that at all?
I mean, I definitely know I did that with when I first started dating Terry, and now I would be like, okay, but it's not what I really want to do. But I don't think so. I've always just liked everything. So I loved rap in high school. I loved all
Good
the
for
things.
You.
Like anything that you threw at me, besides maybe like the really, really, really screaming heavy metal. I didn't like that. But I just liked everything. Like I have such
Were you a Tupac fan?
I liked, this is so bad. I loved
no changes.
Eazy-E.
Nice.
Yeah, he's terrible. His lyrics are horrible. He's horrible to women. I loved it.
Yeah.
You were like, this beat though.
Yes.
No, that's Terry. Terry's like, oh man, the music was great.
Like,
do you remember old song, I don't know, sang it. It was The Roof Is on Fire. We don't need no water. It was so bad. My mom ripped all of the cassette tape out of it when she found it and put it on my bed.
That's amazing.
I have a funny story about growing up. Like my dad, both of my parents listened to country music. They grew up in small towns, and I remember this story because my mom brings it up often, and I think about this a lot with my kids. But there was a time where anytime I was riding in my truck with my dad, we were listening to country music, and like country music lyrics a lot of times can be not the best things to let kids listen to.
I mean, better than
learn.
Easy E, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
and I remember that Toby Keith song, "You Ain't Much Fun." It's or I forget the line.
Ain't as good as I once was. That
no,
one?
not that one. But it's like it hasn't been fun since I quit drinking. You know that song? Okay, so I remember the melody. It's funny. But
you don't know the word.
No.
I was gonna say.
But anyway, So I remember one time we were listening to that in my dad's truck riding around, and I get home and running around the house singing that lyric, and then my mom told my dad, like, no more country music, no more. And so then growing up after that, like literally that was a turning point for us. After that, anytime we were in the car together, it was just Christian radio, just like nothing but Christian radio.
Wow.
Okay, so then wasn't that long after I left home for college, and then I would go back and visit my dad and ride around with him, ride around town, and country music would be on in his truck, and I'm like, wait, what is this? Like, you guys only listen to Christian radio.
And he's like, no, it's because you're not a kid
and
anymore.
now that's exclusively what he listens to. And my mom listens to, I think, exclusively like 70s rock, like 80s rock. Like they just recently went to an Eagles concert.
Oh, Eagles, so good.
Awesome.
Yeah, love Eagles.
And so that's a glimpse into but every time I'm with my kids, I'm thinking about it because I love listening to country music. And the problem is, like, on a long road trip, man, country music, I feel like it just makes the time fly. But sometimes I'll get caught up listening to these songs, and then I'm realizing, oh, my 3 kids are listening to these lyrics right now, and like they're dropping a curse word here or there.
I sang Afternoon Delight growing up, and I'm fine.
So it's funny because
look, man, it's fine.
they associate country music Audrey not anymore because she's a little older, but they called it daddy music.
Oh, that's
amazing.
They're like, is this daddy music? Because it's all country. And but anyway, I thought it's just funny because I feel like a lot of our identity is wrapped up in the type of music that we listen to, and a lot of times we don't even realize that.
I have a funny story about Tucker when he's little. So I loved 90s girl country, Faith Hill, Martina McBride, Trisha Yearwood, all of them. And so I listened to Faith Hill, is probably my favorite. And one time we were somewhere, I don't remember, we were in public, like my boss was there, the pastor at the time, and Tucker singing, "Let's make love all night long." And I'm like, no, we can't sing that song.
That's so funny. Yeah, like
that's amazing.
That's just a glimpse at how music affects us. Like for a lot of people, the lyrics can catch you and stick in your mind. But for people like me and Terry, it's more like, oh man, that was a sweet
It also made it hard for me after Brock passed away. So a lot of worship music that talks about, God never letting you down and stuff like that was so hard for me. My mind knew like it was God's plan and he didn't let me down, but I had a hard time singing. The one song, it was like based on Lazarus. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
We sang here.
Rattle?
No.
And I could not sing.
You stood outside you came.
Yes.
I knew
that
like,
you didn't come, and I knew you were going to come.
Yeah.
So it's funny to hear that, and like my head knows that he never lets us down. I know all the things, but my heart was yelling like it's not true.
It's still tough probably for you to hear other Christian artists sing those lyrics knowing that they haven't been through what you've been through.
Right.
Yeah. Right? That's what I'm always like. I want to hear, like, I love Levi Lusko. I don't love They Lost a Child, but he lost a child. And I love reading his books because I'm like, I know he knows what I feel like. And I know Stephen Curtis Chapman, but kind of late in life. So he didn't really come out with any great songs that talk about your faith, but I would love to hear that. And Christian music's just, speaking of Stephen Curtis Chapman, has changed so much.
No doubt.
Like when I first started,
oh my goodness,
it was so like poppy and I'm diving in,
Yeah.
And now it just feels so much more meaningful, or I feel like it touches you where you are. In my Bible study last week, I asked everyone like, what is their go-to thing to do when they're just feeling restless or angry or whatever? And out of, I think there's 14 of us, I think about 10 of them said listen to worship music. So
that's awesome.
Puts you in the place. It puts you in a place. That's what I mean. Music does that in general, right? It's funny. Like if you want to kind of like wallow around in your sorrow, and like you'll turn on a certain type of music, right? And that's just how it works. But like if you're in a place where you're like, man, I really need a pick me up right now, I need to hear truth, man, like turning on worship music, there's nothing better than that. There's nothing more therapeutic than
when
that.
There's a reason why like athletes and runners in particular will have their running playlists. You know, they've got songs that help them get through the, you know, our I have friends who've run marathons, and we just had the marathon a couple weeks ago. And they're like, yeah, I planned out my playlist, and I know that at this point I will be at mile 20 whatever, and it's going to be tough. And so I put in this song to boost me up, you know.
A lot of runners do that with a specific tempo too, right? So like they can keep their cadence 100%. Going. And,
it's crazy to me, people that don't like music.
Have you met somebody who straight up doesn't like it?
Oh, we have people that will stay out during worship because they just don't want to hear it and come in, and I'm just like, what? Like Steve's messages are great, but I love the music. And so for me to find someone who just doesn't like music or doesn't listen to music, like I never turn the TV on ever. Like if we didn't have a TV, I'd be fine. But I turn music on, and like just talking to some of my friends about it, they're like, oh no, we have to have the TV on all the time. And so just funny how people are different. And like, how do you not like music?
I believe it's hard. I think it's, I'll be careful saying this because I think music is such hardwired into who we are as people who are created to be. I think that people that just say, oh, I don't like music, I think that there's something that needs to be worked on.
Their heart needs some work.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to shout. If you listen to this podcast and you do not like music,
we're going to pray for you.
No, but like, I seriously think, I mean, there's certain things about who we are and how we were created that it just wouldn't make sense. And I think like, even for the most extreme introverts in life, I'm not super extreme, but I enjoy relationships with people. I enjoy talking to people. Why? Is because I was created as a relational being. It's not. It has. And I think music is that same way. You know, it's just I think people that deny that, either they're looking for somebody to talk to about that problem in their life, or maybe they don't see it, or maybe they're just in denial. Or
I remember the first time I ever came across somebody who just straight up didn't like music, because you meet people who don't like certain types of music, and that's preference, and like that's fine. Feel what you want to feel. But I was on the mission field, and somebody was. I always had one headphone in, and I was like listening to background music, you know, just going about my day. And somebody goes, do you always listen to music? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, because we were driving in the car at the time. I was like in the car? And he's like, yeah, sure. Or like, where at? Like, I noticed you have a headphone in. And I was like, well, yeah, unless like I'm doing something really important and I need all of my focus, like I'd rather just have music on in the background. And then I was like, wait, do you not listen to music? And he's like, no. I prefer to drive in silence, or, you know, if I'm cleaning the house, like I'll just listen to the noises of the vacuum cleaner or whatever. And I'm like,
man,
what a psycho, dude. I don't know. That's the craziest thing. I was like, all right, man. Like,
what's going on in your mind?
Well, I wonder if someone like that does to get through hard times, because I don't know what I would do without music.
Right?
Maybe because I'm a female and a little more feely, but like the Be Still and Know That I Am God, I think it's Stephen Chris Chapman. That's still such a good song that when I'm feeling out of sorts, like I can go to that and be like, okay, God is God, and you know, I don't have to be and do all the things. So I don't know how people get through things,
especially if you're driving. Like I've done radio music fasts before, like in the car, like on my commute, you know, just to give myself some time in silence, because I think that's another underestimated thing in life that we don't value enough, is just break time from nothing. Let the Lord speak to you. But I've done that before, and it's challenging, right? Because you're like, you just want to hear things.
But then you're like, come on, when someone cuts you off.
I know. Have you ever done that? Like you're listening to some amazing worship song, and then somebody
happens, like, are you an idiot?
Like,
right
use your blinker.
Come on. There's 2 lanes, bro.
Speaking about silence, how hard that is. It's also something that has been in my Bible study. And so we did this last year. I challenged everyone to take 5 minutes and have nothing, just silence. And it was so hard for everyone. So in my Bible study we're doing right now, she's talking about silence. And so the first day, you have to do 5 minutes of silence, and the second day 6, and then 7, 8, you get up to 9, and everyone is struggling with it. And she talks about like, yeah, your mind's going to go everywhere, but just give it a minute to get through that, and then just sit. And it is so hard and uncomfortable for people because we just fill our lives with so many things, and our phones, like you don't ever have to sit in silence.
And when we think it's uncomfortable for silence, like if we're in a situation that brings up silence, we think that other people are uncomfortable, so we feel like we have to talk and speak. Yeah, but sometimes, there's some value. There's definitely value in silence.
If you're so loud, you can't hear God speaking, not audible. But if your life's so busy, you never take time just to be quiet. Like, how can you hear him? And then, unfortunately, he'll have to hit you upside your head with something hard to make you hear him.
There's something to this. This is kind of off topic, but there's those like sensory deprivation chambers you can go into where it's like so quiet. They say you can hear your like heart beating and your blood moving.
Flowing,
that would be crazy.
Yeah, I want the anechoic chambers. I want to go into one of those eventually.
I don't like that.
Not for a long time.
Chris, like if there's light music playing, maybe.
If it's not super dark and I don't feel enclosed, then I can do it.
Oh, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say like the balance of silence, and specifically for me, worship music. Like I know I've gone through seasons where because it's my job, and I love my job, but because it's my job, there's times where I have trouble listening to worship music without critiquing it, where I'm listening to it being like, is this going to be a good one for Sunday morning or whatever? And you lose kind of, I'm sure you've dealt with this, where you kind of lose like I'm just listening to it to enjoy it and worship, on my own. That I've had to take those driving kind of fasts from music where I'm like, I'm just going to drive in silence a little bit because I need to kind of reset my parameters of the lenses that I'm looking at worship music through, because it's not just work.
1000%.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing for all three of us when we go into another church.
I was going to say
and
the
we're
same
like,
thing.
We're like, oh man, this music, it's good, but they could be better here. The drummer could be better. Like we all notice those things.
Yeah, or you go, I wonder why they did this. Why did they structure their service flow?
Yeah, and it's just because of what we do for a living. I think that any industry is that way.
Yeah.
To like your husband works for waste management, right? So he probably looks at other companies and we're like, oh, they should be doing it this way, or they could be doing it this way.
It is a distraction because, like, in worship, I'm even thinking about, like, is it too cold? Is it too hot? Oh, the smoke's coming out too much. Like, all the things that sometimes I don't even, not that I don't enjoy it, but I don't, like, truly worship. And going to a concert or something, you see all the things that are wrong. I do that with events because I love planning events.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, I could have made this better. Like, no, stop it. Just enjoy where you are.
There's times where, we'll get out of the service on Sunday and somebody will make comment like, oh man, the service was just so good today. And then me and Josiah are like, we had like 12 things. Like
there's so many things are
and
wrong.
We always, we've kind of coined this phrase lately, but we focus on the 1%, right? That like people just don't see or don't notice. And a lot of that is in the music. And we realize that non-musicians, they don't notice the details as much as we do, but we want it to be so excellent all the time that it almost becomes a burden for us at times, because we can't focus on the worship itself. So
I tell Terry that all the time. He'll be like, oh, this whatever player was terrible. I'm like, literally the only time that the normal person notices is if a vocalist is bad or like something abruptly stops or something. Like we don't know that the bass player's bad or the guitar or the drummer. Like if I notice that, then it has to be real bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
And there's something to church worship teams that I've always loved about whenever you have teams that are so focused on executing the service that it's perfection, it almost can become distracting to the congregant at times. I feel like I always have appreciated going into a church or a worship service where things don't seem so polished, but you can tell that they're genuine. Yeah. Because it's easier for you to fall into that worship moment when you realize, oh, nobody else is concerned about all the details. They're just here to worship. So
yeah, I think I agree. There's a fine line between striving for excellence, which we do, and striving for perfection. And I think when you start striving for perfection, that sense of being genuine falls away. And yeah, I mean, you may come in and there may be a vocalist who's just killing it and is so good, and you kind of look at it and you're like, you technically hit all of the things, but I don't think you connected with a single word you said, and it's distracting.
It feels
to me.
performance-y. Like I should be watching you and not singing with you.
Yeah,
exactly. I tell when I've coached some of our vocalists in the past, I tried to tell them and some of them get it, and a lot of them don't believe what we're saying. But tell them if your vocal is subpar or average,
sure,
but you're leading with all that you have, and people can see that from stage. They can see that you're in it. They can see your heart is showing in it. Then that's what matters more to people than you hitting every note, than you hitting every run, than you being perfectly in tune all the time.
Well, and you and I, we both say that out of experience, because we've both had Sundays where vocals just aren't there, but you're just giving it your all, and you see people are with you, because it's not about you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, we digress into worship talk.
Yeah, obviously. We said that we weren't going to go there.
Yeah.
But before, I know one thing we have to do before we end.
Okay.
Josiah has to give us a hot take or two.
We got to do hot takes.
All right.
Yeah. Guys,
we got a few minutes left. So.
If you didn't tune in to Mitch and I's podcast, you can go back into the annals and check out that podcast. It was unhinged. But we got the segment. I have the segment that I'm going to try and do every time I'm on called Hot Takes, where I just want to get your guys' hot takes on some serious issues that I just see in the world.
So excited.
Oh boy. Let's go.
I didn't have time to have Kat make us an intro song video, so I think we're going to have to...
Put it right here, Kat. Ready, go.
Oh, no, it didn't show up.
Dang
We're going to have to create it ourselves. So I think because we're both musicians and it's unfair, I think you should do the singing.
Oh, gosh.
And do you want to do the rhythm and I'll do the bass line?
I love it.
All right, so give us a beat.
Wait, what do I have to do?
You just come up with a little, 30 seconds, opening theme song for Hot Takes segment.
Okay, can I rap
you can rap, you
Mitch
can
did?
sing, you can do
You want it?
slam
Up-tempo?
poetry.
I changed my mind. I don't want hot takes.
Let's do it. Boom, boom,
Hot takes.
boom,
Two guys
boom,
and a girl.
boom,
You never know.
boom.
Let's do
Boom.
it.
Nice, that was good.
All right, so we'll
was
record that
great.
and we'll use it for the next time.
The next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to know your guys' hot takes on Gen Z, specifically our youth, and the fact that 70s fashion is coming back into style. Yeah, love it. That's your take?
Love it. Yeah, because I wasn't really old enough in the 70s to be fashionable, but I like that it all comes back. The stuff Tucker wears, Terry's always like, I wore that years ago, and I like I don't like the big flare pants,
Sure.
but I do like the little bit of flare coming back, and I like that we're beyond the very low cut jeans, and now you can cover up your stomach a little bit more, and not everything's showing. I like that. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Give me your hot take.
I know a lot about a lot.
Yeah.
But not fashion.
I think self-proclaimed, complete non-expert, no
Sure.
expertise. I'm wearing a hoodie and jeans.
Yeah.
This is who I am.
Sure.
So don't ask me
no
about fashion.
take whatsoever.
If you say,
Sure.
hey, 70s fashion is coming back, I have no idea what you're
What that
talking
even
about.
means.
No.
Yeah, you're like, sure, man, I'll still be wearing my jeans and hoodie.
Go get me some discount jeans from Old Navy.
In your defense, hoodie and jeans never
It's
goes out of
timeless.
Well, hey.
It is
Flannels
timeless.
never go
Amen.
out of style.
Yeah, it's timeless.
I'm
Jean
totally
jackets,
okay with
you
that.
know.
That's
As
fair.
long as I don't outgrow them, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm caught in the age where I want to be trendy, but I'm
Yeah.
also not 25 or 30
Sure.
anymore. And so I got to find that line where
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna wear ripped jeans till I'm 80, and
Yeah.
people will just
It's too
hate on me.
expensive to stay with the times
It
too for a lot of
is.
people,
It is
for most
expensive.
people, I should say.
So you
But I
just
guess you
hold
could
on
go
to
to
your
Goodwill if you like it, because fashion comes back around in circles. So
Yeah.
they say. I wouldn't know, but that's where thrifting, I guess, comes
Sure.
in handy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't thrift. The idea of wearing someone else's clothes just
Yeah,
that makes sense.
see that.
With who I know you to be, that makes 100% sense.
yes. Tucker's very fashionable.
He
So
is.
Tucker will try to get me to buy something or buy me something, and I'll be like, Tucker, I'm too old for this. No, you're not. You can pull this off.
Yeah.
He bought me my Air Force Ones 3 years
I
ago.
will say, your guys'
Very long
I
time.
noticed Terry's shoes yesterday, and you guys, your shoe game is great.
We like shoes.
Yeah.
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 I don't like fancy girl shoes though. Not like
No,
heels.
no. You like,
I like
cool sneakers.
yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want comfortable feet.
comfortable
Yeah,
feet.
Covered,
bring on the
comfortable
New
feet.
Balance. Yeah.
No,
Oh man.
you can't do New Balance.
Bring
the white ones with the blue. No, the
No,
dash shoes.
not grass cutting shoes.
Okay.
No, just regular New Balance. Am I wearing them now? Oh no, I'm wearing Adidas tennis shoes now. But
They're good. Also, I'm wearing Adidas as well. Okay, what's the best side dish at Thanksgiving?
Ooh.
And then also, what's the worst?
See, I don't like turkey, so I'm all about
Right,
the
so
side
it's all about
dishes.
the sides.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same. I think most turkey is dry and bland. But
yes.
the sides.
But do you guys fry turkey regularly?
So I've had deep fried turkey, and it is better
because it's not dry.
It's not dry. I've had deep fried turkey. It is better. The best turkey I ever had was baked, but it was covered in bacon. It was a bacon lattice turkey, and so that kind of kept the moisture in. But even then, I was like, yeah, man, it's turkey. Like, it's good. It's fine.
It's also like on the whole like bone structure of the turkey, which pukes me out.
That's
I can't do that. Like, no.
I'm a big stuffing and mashed potatoes with gravy type of guy for Thanksgiving. I think I could probably make that.
Straight up comfort food.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like mashed potatoes.
Especially if there's some like garlic and cheese in there.
Yes, I don't like gravy. But
don't
also,
like gravy?
I don't like really condiments. Weird. But also, my mom used to make like homemade noodles. I don't like the store bought thin noodles.
Sure.
My mom made like homemade thick noodles. They were so good. And my older sister did it for a little while, so I haven't had those since.
So that's your
since
favorite?
She's been gone.
Is
Probably the
homemade
noodles and the mashed potatoes.
Okay. What about you?
I got a lot of favorites.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's really fair to pick one.
Is dessert a side dish? Like
Yes.
pumpkin
Oh.
pie?
It's all sides. It's all sides.
I mean, yeah, because like
Some
if you,
good
like,
homemade pumpkin pie. My mom makes it from scratch. She,
it's
like,
a staple.
bakes.
If it's
So
a
good.
staple to Thanksgiving, then it's not a dessert, in my opinion. It's just part of the meal.
you
right?
have to.
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
You guys like
pumpkin pie.
cranberries?
No.
I'll pass on the
Oh,
cranberry
Tucker
sauce.
loves cranberry
My
sauce.
family's big on it, and I hate it. I think
don't
it's
like
so
it.
Like the
gross.
the stuff that comes in the
Yeah.
can.
And it's like,
Yeah, it's just like a big cylinder. It's like Jello, basically.
Yeah.
Like what's the point?
They're like,
in
no,
that?
it's sauce.
But I will
That's
say
not
that the
sauce.
same thing. The same thing can be said about a lot of dishes at Thanksgiving. Like, why do we only eat them? Why do we only have stuffing
Yeah.
at Thanksgiving? Like,
It's
makes
so
it
good.
makes no
or
sense.
even a big old turkey.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true. That's
They're
true.
always available.
You can
But
always get turkey.
And you think about like, man, the turkey population like this time of year, it must be huge because
Yeah,
nobody's
they're all
had them,
trying to kill 'em
and
all,
then like
yeah.
all in one day, just they're all gone. They
Wait,
start
you
over.
live on a farm. Did your parents ever like kill a turkey and bring it and cook it?
I didn't grow up on a farm, but my parents, lived on one. But yeah, my dad has had turkey like that before.
Yeah.
And I've been around. Actually, yeah, I've had a home raised turkey.
Well,
from my
I know they're
parents.
getting removed, but aren't they on a farm now?
Yeah,
Do they have
yeah,
turkeys?
yeah. They have, but they don't now.
Got
Yeah,
it.
obviously, but they're getting ready to move. But what you do is you put a potato sack over the turkey, so
Oh.
it's just the head sticking out,
Yeah.
right? So when you cut the head off, the blood doesn't get all
Oh.
Yes, the turkey.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So gross.
Yep. But same thing with chicken. I think
No,
turkey's
stop
like
it.
so.
There's
No,
no-
chicken's
the-
different because
chicken's very
okay.
crazy.
Have you seen how this is?
I can tell you right now.
Have you seen how you how the chicken feather plucking machine?
No.
Yes.
It's like a big cylinder, and it just like rotates really quickly and
Yeah.
it pulls all the feathers off.
Oh, that's
My,
so gross. Never eating meat again.
my great grandparents on my grandfather's side, they're all farmers, country rancher people, and so I've got a ton of stories from them. Most notably, talking about chickens, my great grandma Webster had chickens, and when it was time to eat the chickens, she would take a 2x4 out there and literally just clamp down the neck and just take the whole body off, and then they would be running.
And there's
running for a
there's
little
an
bit.
art to that, and I don't know what it is, but I know if your chickens are past a certain age, you can't eat them
eat
because they're
'em
too like it's too
The meat's
tough.
bad. Yeah, the meat's bad. Anyway, what's the worst Thanksgiving side?
Oh gosh.
Christy's like any
Turkey.
chicken.
Turkey is the worst
Ham.
now. No, that's
Do you like
side.
ham?
No.
Not a ham person.
I like lunch meat ham. That's really
Mm.
thin. I don't like anything where there's any meat with a bone around.
What about like a good like tomahawk steak that has the bone on
No.
it? No?
No.
That's crazy. to me.
Worst side
Ribs?
dish. Oh gosh, no. I don't like pork either.
Dude.
I know.
You've told me before that you're picky,
I
but you
am.
are picky.
I'll say green bean casserole.
Is the grossest.
I don't I'll eat it because I'll
Sure.
eat pretty much everything at Thanksgiving other than cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
But that's probably one that I'm like, take
Take
it.
it
was
or
like
leave it.
that's another thing. It's like why we only make it on
Yes.
Thanksgiving. Why?
Sure.
Can we stop making it because nobody likes it?
That's
I
right.
love green beans, but not green.
I like green beans
casserole.
too. Oh, yeah.
But I would
Yeah.
say the worst thing is deviled eggs.
Oh
Nah,
no.
my family,
I can
my
pounce on deviled
in-laws-
eggs.
My in-laws love deviled
oh,
eggs,
yeah.
and I'm not a big fan.
It's so gross.
I like deviled
eggs are already gross, but let's take it
Okay,
all
so
out,
de-
mix it in, and shove it all
That's
back
not
in.
just
and
a
eat it.
Thanksgiving thing though.
Well, it is
Deviled
around
eggs.
my house.
Yes, true. Deviled
Like
eggs
yeah.
is a year-round thing.
Like,
for my
does
in-laws.
Lisa Kay make deviled eggs?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, this guy is a big deviled egg
I
guy.
love them. Bring them on.
I think
Little paprika on top.
It's gonna be your
Let's
Christmas
go.
gift this year.
Pat. My least favorite would be the sweet potato casserole that has all the marshmallows and stuff. I think it's too sweet. It's gross.
Take away the marshmallows.
Yeah,
That's
if
good.
it's just sweet potatoes, I love sweet potatoes, but when it's like sickly sweet with maple syrup and all that stuff, it's too much.
No.
That's like a Markle specialty, I think, isn't
Probably.
it? I think that's one of the
yeah.
things that Grandma Markle makes.
like,
That's
oh,
like,
the sweet
yeah,
potato.
I believe so, because I've been over there for Thanksgiving once or twice through
Yeah.
the years, and I think so. You might have to ask him about that. You might have to
Grandma
try.
Markle, don't take offense, and
Yeah,
we still love you.
drop off an entire dish in Josiah's office.
I don't know
And
about
some
that.
deviled eggs.
And
for
some deviled
Jared.
eggs for Jared.
Was that all your hot?
I have
hot-
one more.
Okay,
One more, and this is a very controversial topic,
Oh,
so
can't
we're
wait.
gonna have so many comments. Comment down below, guys, your thoughts on these hot takes. Paper straws, environmentally conscious, but maybe the worst thing ever.
How
Why is
many-
this isn't even conversation, Josiah.
What are you talking about?
This is
It's dumb.
Paper
nobody
straws.
nobody likes paper. In fact, I think most people that did paper straws have gone back to plastic because
But it saves the turtles, doesn't it?
But have you actually seen? Has anyone actually seen a turtle
There was.
choking on
I
a
saw
straw?
one video, but it wasn't even a plastic straw. I think it was like a metal straw.
He's gonna choke on a paper straw too.
True.
I mean, I don't understand that. Like, if you're I don't get it. Why is the paper better?
But also too, it's funny because like the paper straw comes wrapped in plastic.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Yeah. Because you can't wrap it in more paper because then it'll get wet.
Yeah.
well,
it's
and
just
he's still gonna
ruined.
choke. Like, even if it eventually is biodegradable,
Sure.
that turtle's gonna be dead before.
And it's not
it goes
That turkey
away.
would be
like,
dead
The
too.
turkey would too.
Yeah.
We can put people on the moon,
Yeah.
but we can't come up with a biodegradable straw that's not gonna like just dissolve in your mouth.
Yeah.
Like, come on, we can do better than this.
Yeah.
That's-
I know that there's some companies now that are working with biodegradable plastics, but I'm like, can we just use regular straws?
I agree.
Come
But
on.
there are some things that have been phased out because of wildlife protection. Like, do you guys remember? I remember growing up, like you get the cans of Coke and they would have the plastic like ring around
yeah.
the top. I haven't seen those in ages.
Yeah.
Ages. I think I saw.
You can get like
one-
Gatorade, like the Gatorades with them and stuff like
Sure,
that. but-
that's true.
The little tiny Cokes come with
Oh,
those, right?
the small ones,
Yeah.
like the
yeah,
8-ounce
you're
ones.
right.
So we're still strangling.
We're still
and-
strangling.
You know what's
pigeons.
hilarious though? So you remember like when I was a kid, I remember going to the grocery store, everything was in paper bags.
Yes.
Yes.
And then they were like, oh,
Plastic bags.
deforestation, and then
Yeah.
it's like,
We're
all right, we're
killing
switching
trees.
to plastic bag, and now it's like,
Plastic
no,
bags are
plastic is
terrorists.
we're going back to paper.
Yeah.
It
So
all
it's like only a
changes.
matter of time before
We're back to
because if you go to
plastic
Aldi, it's I
Bring your
believe
own
they,
bag.
yeah, like they're very environmental. I guess they're European based country,
Yeah.
so they're way ahead of us in that. I guess I don't know.
The things that change, let's just stay on our off-topic thing, is like drinking water. Now, I'm a big water drinker,
Yeah.
so I'll drink like 100 ounces. But I saw TikTok talking about like in the 80s, nobody was drinking water like
Yeah.
that. You couldn't even buy a water bottle in a store. And now
Yeah.
no one had like an emotional support water, cup or anything.
Sure.
And now we're like, you have to drink water. You don't drink water? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
And
No,
they were
I was-
probably healthier in the 80s.
That
than
was
we
a
are.
big thing for me and Mallory when we first started dating. We were hanging out, watching TV, and I go, I think I'm going to go get a cup of water. Would you like one? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, water? Are you thirsty? She's like, do you have anything else? I was like, I think we have milk. Like, what? No, I guess I'm good. And so I get a cup of water, and she's like, you're just drinking water? And I was like, yeah. It's good for you.
Yeah.
But it is so true. There's so many people that I know who are like, yeah, in the 80s, my dad go mow the lawn and come back in, have a Diet Coke.
Have Pepsi.
Yeah, have a Pepsi.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thirsty. Whatever.
And now
soft
it's
drink.
crazy. Like you look at I see like health things on TikTok all the time. You look at TikTok and you get whatever you see. So I see recipes and health things. They always talk about like if you want to lose weight, the number one thing you need to do is drink half your body weight in water. Everywhere. So I'm like, why was
Half
that?
your body weight?
Yes, in water.
Like
I have
what?
to drink how often? Every day?
Every day. Well, I drink like 100
Kristi, that's
ounces
like-
a day.
Wait, I have to drink 100 pounds of
Are
water?
you talking about ounces?
No, ounces. Like how? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I was like, I
100
was
pounds.
like,
100 pounds
I caught on
of
eventually, but I was
water.
like, wait a second.
Yes, Josiah. I want to
I
see
don't
you try
even
that.
know how many
Like,
ounces that is.
you
So
would-
like if you weigh
die,
200
right?
pounds, you need to drink 100
100
ounces,
ounces,
which
sure.
I don't weigh 200 pounds, but I drink 100 ounces
Right.
just because I think it makes me feel better, takes my headaches away.
No, yeah.
But it wasn't a thing in the 80s, and
no.
people were healthier.
And I've done that. I've done like a gallon a day.
But here we are
type of
drinking
thing.
more water as a society than ever before.
Yeah.
And we're
And
the
yeah,
least
it's
healthy.
like how
True.
does that correlation happen?
It's weird.
Yeah, man. Well, would you ever? I guess like our sea levels are rising and everything too. Are we maybe not drinking as much as we?
True.
I don't know.
That's
Is there
true.
something
How are
to
we
that?
drinking more water?
I'm saying.
But it's not.
It's all a big conspiracy.
Well, I
don't know.
mean, it goes back into the ocean.
Sure it does,
True.
Josiah.
You just drink it and it's gone
stays in
forever.
you.
And
I mean,
it just
I've-
stays in you.
I don't ever have to go to the bathroom. So.
Never.
All right, guys, let's wrap
That's all
this
I
up.
got. That was all my hot takes. Thanks for being on my hot take segment, guys.
It was awesome. I
Appreciate
can't
That's
wait to use that music as a loop for the next time we do this.
It'd be so good. Well,
Maybe we'll even use it live on Sunday. Who knows?
Ooh, well,
But,
yeah.
Like Josiah's not a part of this podcast today, but
he submitted
he's here
hot
in
takes.
spirit. Yeah. So, but anyway, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
It's been fun. I think this is like we went way over
Sorry.
time.
Yeah.
But you know,
Should have known with the three of
yeah,
us.
you know,
We talk a lot.
Everybody's
It's all right.
expecting it to be like a 10, 15-minute podcast,
Yeah.
but no, we're 10 times that.
If
all
you're
good.
still
But,
with us,
yeah.
good job.
I mean,
Yes.
did anybody make it to? If you made it to the end of today's episode,
Yeah,
comment below,
comment.
tell us, let us know, and you'll get a golden star.
Like and subscribe.
But thank you guys for listening, and we will be back with you live on stage on Sunday.
Sunday.
Have a great week.
Right.
Goodbye.
So.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the In All Things podcast. Our challenge for you today is to send this episode to one person. Seriously, think of somebody right now that could use this conversation and send it to them. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic ideas, please send them to podcast@sycamorecreek.org, and make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Sycamore Creek Church so that you can always see what's going on in our world. If this conversation helped you at all, make sure you share it, leave a review, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on a single episode. We love you, God loves you, and we'll see you next week on the In All Things podcast.